All right, you're all set.
Okay, great. Thanks, Joanna. Hi, Nancy. How are you doing? Good to see you again. And Judy, you there? Okay, it's more people coming in now. Hi, Jackie.
Hi, how you doing?
Good. How are you this morning?
Good, thank you. You on top of it.
Okay, there's Linda. Hi, Linda. How are you?
Hello.
Good morning. And Hillary, good morning.
Hi.
How are you doing today? Raise my seat up a little bit here. Okay, there we go. Christine, are you there? Okay. Oh, there's Christine. How are you, Christine? Welcome.
Good, thanks, and you?
And hi, Carol. Welcome. Good to see you. Let's see. Those of you still coming in, if you want to turn on your cameras, it should be down in the bottom left if you're on a PC or laptop. The start video should be right beside the mute and unmute. You don't have to turn your cameras on, but we'd love to see you if you're willing to do that. But you do need to be able to mute and unmute. So I'll be calling out your names and just go ahead and say hi, just to make sure I know that you can unmute and I can hear you. So there's Rhonda. Hi, Rhonda.
Hello.
Click there. And Chris. So who else has joined us? Myra or Maya?
Hi,
Is that correct, Maya?
that's correct.
Okay.
Mia.
Okay. Great. Thanks. Welcome. Irene, you here? Oh, there's Irene. Hey, welcome, Irene.
Thank you.
And there's Rosie.
Good morning.
Hey, good morning. Welcome. Okay, so I've got Linda with an I. I've got a Linda with a Y and a Linda with an I, but Linda with an I, can you hear me? Linda Biddingham. Showing that you're not muted, but if you're answering, I can't hear you. She may have stepped away. I want to welcome everybody. Thanks for joining on early on a Sunday morning for some of you. It's 12 o'clock here in North Carolina, but I know it's earlier as you move further west. So thanks for getting up and starting with us today. All right. Yes. Okay, so we usually take the first 4 to 5 minutes to give everybody a chance to connect in and to get their audio working. If you're having any trouble, I think I've heard from almost everybody, but if you are having any problem with either your microphone or your camera, let us know. We've got people to support here that can help you with that. You can just let us know out loud, or you can contact, let us know through chat. Let's see who. So I think Joe is going to be monitoring the chat today. Is that right, Joe?
Yes, absolutely. I'll be here in the chat section for any questions that might pop up.
Okay, thank you. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started, and we've got a few housekeeping issues to get covered first, and then we'll get into the actual agenda. So let me start by sharing my screen. And then I need to move your pictures over where I can see them. So your pictures are over on my separate monitor. So when I'm looking over here, I'm looking at your pictures. I'm not staring out the window. Just, all right, there we go. Have a good crowd today, thanks. All right, and I will be muting everyone in just a minute. In fact, I'm gonna do it right now. So that's the reason I want to make sure everybody knew where their mute was, and you could unmute yourself. So as the class goes along, if we start to hear any background noise, I will go ahead and just mute everyone. So before you ask a question or make a comment, just remember to check and see if you're muted. And if you are, go ahead and unmute yourself. And I also have opened up the chat that I'll be watching, and Joe's going to be watching that as well. So if you're having trouble with your microphone, you can go ahead and put your questions and comments in the chat. But if your microphone's working, just go ahead and ask your question out loud. That way, everyone else can hear your question, and I will hear it and be able to respond on a timely basis. And this is a class where there's typically a lot of questions and conversation. So look forward to hearing from you. Just to remember to unmute yourself. You don't need to raise your hand or anything. Just unmute and ask away. So let's go ahead and officially start the class. This class is Staying Calm During Stressful Times. And I do want to thank you all for attending this Sunday morning. My name is Wade Yarber, and I'll be the guide for the class today. Just very briefly, a little about me. I'm from a small town called Mason, Tennessee, just outside of Memphis, Tennessee. I have a PhD in psychology, but also had a minor in computer science and have kind of worked in both those areas. I've taught psychology in several colleges, but I also spent most of my working career installing hospital information systems and training users how to use those systems. So I've done a lot of adult education, but I really like teaching at Get Set Up best of any place I've worked, I think, because I'm teaching people that are here because they want to be here. You're all taking the class because you're interested in it, not because your employer told you you have to take the class or it's a required course. And that's what we try to do at Get Set Up, is to create an environment where people can take classes they're interested in and interact with other people that are also interested in the same topics and create kind of that community feeling, and also interact with the guide. So again, want to ask you to certainly do that today. The session is being recorded, and any participant can request a copy of that recording. All you need to do is to send an email to help@getsetup.io. And I'm going to put that in the chat as well, in case you don't have that in your email contacts. There are several different times you might want to contact us using that email address. In fact, that is really your one-stop shopping for any questions, comments, issues. Just send them to help@getsetup.io, and they'll route it to the correct person. But that is now in the chat if you want to copy that. This session is also being live streamed, so we don't want to welcome anyone that's joining us via live stream. Thanks for joining us as well. Hope you enjoy the class, but also encourage you to go ahead and register for classes. That way you can interact with the guide as well as interacting with the other learners and get the full Get Set Up experience. And finally, Get Set Up is not paid to promote any specific products. We are purely trainers. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the agenda. So by the end of the class today, you should know what stress is and what causes it, understand some of the consequences of long-term stress, and most importantly, know some ways to cope with stress. So let's start by talking a little bit about stress and anxiety. Two terms that are used a lot. In fact, usually in that way, we talk about stress and anxiety. They are somewhat different though, and I wanted to differentiate stress from anxiety. Stress is actually a biological response. It's something that happens within our body. It's in response to physical, mental, or emotional pressure. And stress is defined as a normal reaction to everyday pressure. So stress isn't always bad, but it can become unhealthy when it is excessive or continues for long periods of time. But stress is really what helps us to react to things on a normally based day-to-day basis. If something, scenario I use frequently is if a pit bull starts chasing you, your stress is what gets you up and moving and into safety. So it's not always a bad thing, but in our lives, it is in a lot of cases. And we'll talk about that more. Anxiety is an emotion as opposed to a biological response. And it's defined as a persistent state of excessive worries that don't go away even in the absence of a physical cause. So the same life events that cause stress, that bodily reaction, also cause anxiety, the emotional reaction. So they are closely linked. They typically occur at the same time. That's why lots of times we talk about stress and anxieties as if they're synonymous, but they are slightly different. And we're going to focus more on the stress part today. So what causes stress? Stress is typically caused by some type of a trigger event, and psychologists call that a stressor. And it can be a true physical threat. So it could be that pit bull chasing you, or it might be a perceived threat. You're walking down a dark sidewalk and you hear something behind you and you're afraid it might be someone that has ill intent. So that's a perceived threat. But it can also come from other less concrete but equally potent stressors and things that have been very common in the last year. Fear about our health and the health of our loved ones, fear of running out of essential supplies, fear of loss of support services we rely on. So all those things are stressors that can result in stress. And again, I'm going to be going through some background material here. If you have questions, please do unmute and ask your question, or if you have a comment about anything I'm saying, if you want to add something to something I've said, please do that as well. Always anxious to hear your comments. We're going to talk very briefly about the autonomic nervous system. We don't want to turn this into a biology class, but we're going to talk about some parts of this. So the autonomic nervous system is what controls stress, and it acts largely unconsciously. It's something we're not conscious that's going on. It happens automatically. And there's two components of the autonomic nervous system. The sympathetic nervous system, which is also referred to as the fight or flight system. That's what kicks in when you hear that pit bull chasing you. Your sympathetic nervous system kicks in automatically. It dilates your pupils, your heart rate goes up, your breathing gets higher. You stop digesting because you don't need to digest that hamburger if you're being chased by a dog. So it controls a lot of the bodily systems, and it's triggered by enzymes from the hormones. But that's basically what the sympathetic nervous system, and we'll use the term fight or flight instead of sympathetic just to make it simpler. The parasympathetic nervous system is called the rest and digest system, and it's just the opposite. And so you can tell the two work together. So whereas the sympathetic nervous system causes your pupils to dilate, the parasympathetic causes them to constrict. Your heart rate slows down, your breathing slows down, you start digesting your food. Sympathetic nervous system inhibits your ability to fight off diseases, whereas the parasympathetic nervous system stimulates those activities. So they work at opposite directions. Questions about sympathetic versus parasympathetic? And we'll talk a lot about both of those, but again, the biggest thing to remember is that they're opposites. One does one thing, one does the other. One is getting you ready for you to fight or flight. The other is when you're sitting and watching a nice sunset, you're relaxed, listening to some nice music, you're resting and digesting. And this is just another picture, showing the same thing: fight or flight versus rest and relax. So in terms of coping with stress, lots of times psychologists talk about a scale and when they talk about coping with stress, because there's always stressors around. There's always things in our environment that are causing stress. And the critical factor is our ability to cope with stress. If there's more stressors in our life than our ability to cope, then our stress gets out of control. It starts going up. As long as we can cope with it, then we stay balanced, or even we have the stress levels go down. So what we're going to be talking about today are really ways that you can increase your coping ability, because sometimes you can't eliminate these stressors in your environment and in your life. Those things just happen to you. It's a part of life. But we can increase our ability to cope, keep this scale level. So we'll be talking about coping skills. So we kind of talked about what stress is. What are the consequences of stress? And there are both psychological and physical consequences of stress. And again, we're talking about here prolonged stress. So if it's a situation where that pit bull is chasing you and you run and you get to your house and you slam the door, you're safe. And what happens is the sympathetic nervous system starts to calm down. The parasympathetic nervous system takes over. That's the way our bodies are designed to work. But if we're under that stress for hours and hours and days, we're constantly worrying about getting sick or being able to pay our bills or whatever it is we're worrying about. That daily stress is what causes the problems. We never get to that relaxation state. So extended psychological stress makes it hard to focus and think clearly and make decisions. It makes us more self-focused. We're not as good at connecting with others. We more easily lose our cool. We get angry more easily. And all of these things tend to make family and friend relationships suffer. And if you think about it, that makes sense, because if you're in that fight or flight mode, you're thinking about self-preservation, you're self-focused, you're not thinking about other people and dealing with things. You're really focused on that more primitive state of, I have to fight or I have to get out of here. Physical consequences: chronic stress can affect the immune system, digestive system, cardiovascular systems, and impact sleep. And over time, it can contribute to heart disease, high blood pressure, diabetes. I think you all know that long-term stress is not good for us. It's one of the major causes of people going to the doctor and using the healthcare system. There is a lot of stress out there. So let's talk about some of the ways to control stress and anxiety. That's really the main point of the class today. One way is to keep moving. Lots of research has shown that exercise reduces stress and anxiety. It doesn't have to be vigorous exercise. We don't have to be doing things that are working up sweat and high cardiovascular. It's really just engaging in exercise that keeps us fit and healthy. Some of the best exercises, in fact, are walking is a great exercise. Most doctors say that if you're not doing anything else, simply walking more leads to better health, physical and psychological. Swimming, if you're able to get to a swimming pool these days, that's more of a challenge than it used to be. Dancing, bicycling are all good ways to get some additional exercise. In terms of dealing with stress, some of the best ways are some of the meditative exercises, things like yoga, qigong, and tai chi. So I don't know if you're familiar with those or not. I'm going to show you a number of links as part of this class, and there'll be an email coming out after class where I'll have links to all the sites I'm going to show you today, so you don't have to worry about writing all these down. But let's talk about yoga first, and I'll show you a site that I'll send you a link to. And this is from a site called Do Yoga With Me, and it's yoga for seniors. Is a section of that website. That's why I like this one. It does have a page that zeroes in on seniors. And if you're not familiar with yoga, it tells you a lot about it. So you can read through all of that. But the main thing here is there's lots of different videos, and they're all tailored to seniors. Introduction to yoga for seniors, chair yoga for the upper body, chair yoga for the lower body. It has some things in terms of dealing with arthritis. So they're all fairly short videos. Do we have anybody here that currently does yoga? Okay, a few people. Yeah, it's, the nice thing about yoga, it is very slow and relaxing, and it's called a meditative exercise because it does combine some deep breathing and meditation components, which we'll talk about a little bit later, with the physical exercise that you don't get if you're just doing bicycling or walking, even though with walking you can combine some meditative components to that. But that's yoga. When I first started teaching this class about 9 months ago, Get Set Up wasn't involved in these types of classes, but now we've expanded our classes and we do have these types of classes. In fact, Qigong is another type of meditation exercise. And okay, it's loading slowly. Let me see if I can bump this to make it speed up. There it is. So we have a class, Qigong for Beginners. So if you would like to come to our website, we can now help you with a lot of these types of classes. And we also have a number of yoga classes, and I'm going to kind of show you a little bit about our website and managing our website as part of this class. So you can find some of the things we're going to talk about. But in terms of yoga, you can just type yoga up here and it'll tell you the different yoga classes we've got now. So we have several. We have chair yoga, yoga for beginners, stretch and de-stress with yoga, healthy lifestyles with yoga, etc. So any of these that you're interested in, you could just click on that one. Yoga for Beginners is a good place to start if it's not something you've done before, and sign up for that class.
Wait, this is Jackie. What is Qigong? I've never done yoga before. So what is Qigong?
Okay, these are all very similar, yoga, Qigong, and Tai Chi. They really come from different backgrounds. Yoga is more from India, whereas Qigong and Tai Chi are both more from China and the Asian nations. But what the main point of all of them is it's very slow movements as opposed to exercise, aerobic exercise. And so one good part of it, it involves lots of stretching, which helps as we get old, our joints tend to get stiffer. So it helps with range of motion and keeping you flexible, helps with balance, by keeping you moving that way. So, these are probably the best ones to use. And again, those are all available through the website I showed you, as well as from our website.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Other questions about those, or if anybody's used any of those that want to? Yeah. Did you have a question, Christine? Go ahead and unmute if you did. All right. Very good. If there's no questions or comments, we'll move on. Reaching out to others is something that's always good to do, and it's harder to do since we're not able to get out and meet face-to-face with other people. And there's lots of ways to do that. And I think we're probably, again, a lot better at this than we were 9 months ago when I started teaching this. You obviously all know how to use Zoom. But I think anytime you can talk with someone face-to-face, it's much better than just talking over the telephone. And there's more and more ways to do that now. I just wanted to mention a few of those here. Facebook Rooms is like Zoom. So if you're a Facebook user, you can go to Facebook Rooms and create a group chat with your family members or with your friends, especially if they're all Facebook people. So sometimes that might be easier than Zoom. There's all sorts of messaging apps out there now. WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, and Instagram all have ways to set up group chat sessions, and even your smartphones. If you have an iPhone, you're probably familiar with FaceTime, where you can do not only individual chats, but group chats. One of the limitations of FaceTime is that it only works with Apple. But there's a product called Duo, which is a Google product, that will let you do essentially the same thing as FaceTime, but it works with iPhone or Android, which is another good option. In that email coming out after class, I'll have links to these different products in case you're interested in using some of these and read about them. But they're all good ways to be able to connect with people if you're feeling lonely and just want to catch up with family and friends. Doing it with a video chat is much better than just picking up the phone or sending emails and texts. The other thing that you can do is virtual meetings and support groups. And those are a lot of the different senior centers are doing this now, where you can have virtual meetings. You're probably all doing more and more of that. And again, with Get Set Up, we've got a lot of different social groups. So our social hours down here, if you click here, you get social hours. We've got lots of different social hours where the social hour is different from a class. With the class, you've got an instructor teaching you something. Social hours are really just getting together with other people around some topic that you have in common that you're interested in, and chatting and talking to each other for a while. So if you're not familiar with these, you may want to look through these. There's book clubs, cooking groups. There are a lot of exercises, meditation sessions. There's some dancing sessions if you want to dance to the music of the 60s. A lot of these are exercise related. So getting back to that need for exercise. So lots of different things there as well. Breathing, of course, yes, we all breathe all the time. But one thing that's important to know about breathing is that breathing is tied to the nervous system and tied to that sympathetic versus parasympathetic nervous system. When you feel anxious or angry, you probably notice that your breathing is fast and shallow. And when you're relaxed, listening to that nice calm music or watching that sunset, you're breathing slow and deep. So when you're in one of those states, fight or flight or rest and digest, your breathing changes. What you may not know is that you can actually force your autonomic system to change by changing your breathing. So if you're in this fight or flight response and you notice you're breathing fast and shallow, if you stop and start breathing slow and deep, it will actually shift your autonomic nervous system out of fight or flight into that rest and digest. So I'm going to show you, we're going to watch one video here together. And there's a couple more that I'll have in that email as well that talk about breathing and deep breathing and how it can affect stress. Let's watch this one. Hopefully you can hear this okay. Can everybody hear that?
Yes, I
The
can.
first exercise in our relaxation toolkit involves something we've all experienced at some point or have been very close to experiencing: shortness of breath during times of stress. When we're anxious or stressed, our breathing becomes very shallow. The breath we take isn't fully drawn into the lungs, and there's more contained in our chest. This brings us to our very first exercise of stress reduction: deep breathing. It's also known as abdominal breathing, belly breathing, or diaphragmatic breathing. This technique consists of breathing through the belly and not the chest in a slower and deeper fashion. There are many physical benefits to this simple technique. Deep breathing lowers your heart rate, your blood pressure, increases your energy levels, and decreases your muscle tension and pain. Not to mention the mental health benefits, including decreased anxiety and stress, as well as improved sleep and a more focused mind. Let's practice. Sit or lie down in a comfortable position. Begin by taking a deep breath in and a long, relaxing breath out. The idea here is to achieve a slow and steady breath. Go ahead and place one hand on your chest and your other on your abdomen, if this feels comfortable for you. Now try and keep your chest rather still and have your abdomen expand and contract as you deeply breathe. Some people find it helpful to count while they take their deep breaths. For example, you may count like this: in, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, in, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4. This counting can help you with consistency. Try to practice this regularly a few times throughout the day for a few minutes. It will relax you physically and mentally during times of stress.
So that's a little bit about deep breathing, and it's really a very simple technique. The biggest trick there that you may need some practice on is breathing from the diaphragm, from your belly, as opposed to from your chest. And she did a nice job of explaining that. I mentioned that I teach college, and one thing that I've worked with students there is test anxiety. So a lot of students are going to take a test and they get so stressed out they can't remember anything. And I teach them just to do deep breathing for a couple of minutes before the test. And most of them say that makes a huge difference. So it's something you can do whenever you're feeling stress. One of the big tip-offs about stress, and it's part of that sympathetic nervous system, is your hands will start sweating. So a lot of people notice that even more than they notice their breathing. But when you're feeling stressed, just stopping and doing deep breathing is a great way to relieve the stress immediately. And it's a good thing just to do on a daily basis to kind of get in the practice of deep breathing instead of shallow breathing. It's also a good thing to do when you're having trouble falling asleep, because lots of times inability to fall asleep is because you're feeling stress, and that deep breathing will relieve the stress and put you right to sleep. Any people use deep breathing? Anything they want to share about it? Yeah, Hillary?
I wanted to let people know, if you have silver sneakers through your Medicare plan, they have great yoga classes, great cardio classes, also things about energy and breathing. And all of them are online now. So it's a very good resource if you have silver sneakers.
Okay, great. Thanks for
And I
sharing
do
that.
deep breathing and it really helps. It does help. You have to do it consistently every day.
Yeah, it is good to get in that pattern. Yeah. So there's two other types of deep breathing. We're not going to watch these videos, but I'm going to send you links to these, but I'll explain what the differences is. So deep breathing, like we just saw, is just a breathing in and out. And, she was using like a counting to 4. So breathe in to a count of 4 and out to a count of 4. The 2-in-1 breathing is you breathe in for a count of 3 and then out for a count of 6. So you breathe out longer than you breathe in. For a lot of people, that works faster than just a equal breathing in and out to the same count. What I do sometimes is I'll do a 2-to-1 for the first 5 or 6 breaths and then switch over to the same count both ways. So, but it's another technique you might want to try. Some of these work better for one person, some work different for another person. And sometimes it's nice to have several techniques just to relieve the boredom of doing the same thing. The box technique, it's a technique. In this one, you would breathe in for a count of 4, hold your breath for a count of 4, breathe out for a count of 4, hold your breath for a count of 4. So it's like going around the 4 sides of a box where you breathe in, hold, breathe out, hold, to the same count all the way around, which is another technique. And there's a lot of other ones out there you may find. There's a 3-7-8 technique. So a number of different ones. They all work well. It's kind of finding the one that works best for you. Okay. Any questions before we move on? All right, good. Engaging your mind is another good way to deal with stress, because typically when you're stressed, your mind is in a negative thought area. You're thinking about things that might happen in the future and worrying about them, or you're thinking about something that's happened in the past that you're regretting or having problems with. So it's our mind, and our minds kind of are in three different areas. You're either negative, neutral, or positive. So when you're in the negative thought frame, you want to at least get back to neutral to stop having those negative thoughts. And one way to do that is really to just basically to distract yourself, to do something to engage your mind. And lots of ways to do that. You can read, you can do puzzles. They're a great way to do it. You can go to the dollar store and buy a puzzle book, or you can use your phone. There's lots of puzzles available that you can download. Listening to relaxing music helps a lot of people. You know, some people can really shut things off by focusing on the music. Some people can have the music on and still be having negative thoughts. So again, the point of this class is to show you lots of different techniques so you can find the few that work for you. What works for one person sometimes doesn't work for someone else. There's also things now you can do lots of different virtual trips. So there's like virtual vacations that you can take. I'll just click into one of these just as an example.
Nuts are one of the healthiest things you can eat.
So this is a virtual vacation to Hawaii. And you probably want to put this on full screen. So it's got nice relaxing visuals, nice relaxing music. And I just put that on the television and watch that. You know, some of them are like this, where it doesn't have any actual narration. It's just music going on in the background. Whereas some of the others, they'll actually have narration where they're talking about where they're going. And it's just, you can watch that. Again, different variations. And this is just a YouTube channel. If you use YouTube, you can just go to YouTube and search virtual vacation and come up with lots of different Italy, Greece, Mexico, Paris, beach, Jamaica, lots of different virtual vacations you can find just by all free by going to YouTube and typing virtual vacation. There are a lot of the museums are also doing virtual museum tours now. And again, this is a class that we have. It gets set up, and we're adding more of these virtual tours and virtual visits. So you could probably just type virtual. And so virtual museum tours, if we take you here. So again, if you're interested in taking a virtual museum tour, you can sign up for that class. And then we have a couple of other ones that are coming out as well. So just ways to get you out of thinking negatively and get you at least into a neutral state, hopefully into a positive state. Guided meditation is, the next way to do that. And whereas things like virtual tours, virtual vacations can probably make you stop thinking negative thoughts and put you into that neutral state. What guided meditation frequently is trying to do is to get you into actually a positive state. So there's a number of reasons why you might want to use guided meditation. One is just to relax. The other is to reduce stress by blocking those negative thoughts, and then finally generating positive thoughts. And also, lots of people use guided meditations to get to sleep. So if you're not familiar with guided meditations, they are very much like the first video we watched. That really was a very short guided meditation where they walked you through how to do the deep breathing. Most guided meditations start with deep breathing, but in addition to the deep breathing, they take you on to other things as well. This is the next in that Johns Hopkins series, talking about guided imagery, how that works.
This last exercise doesn't directly involve your muscles. This one is very beneficial because we'll be using the power of our mind, memories, or imagination to create a sense of relaxation. Let's jump right into it. Once again, find a comfortable position and close your eyes. Take a moment to think of a peaceful place that you've been to where you truly feel relaxed. For some people, this may be a beach. For others, somewhere out in nature. It may even be in the comfort of your own home. Take a moment to bring this place to mind. Now, I will walk you through noticing your different senses as you envision this relaxing place that you've chosen. First, notice if you're alone or if others are present in your peaceful place. Think about how you may be dressed. What are you seeing? Notice colors, lighting and shadows, textures of objects around you. Are there any pleasant smells present? Describe them to yourself in a few words. What do you notice with the sense of touch? What is your skin coming into contact with? Sunlight, a breeze. What do you taste? What do you hear? Now open your eyes, and how do you feel in this moment? You can always use guided imagery to bring yourself to a relaxing place, which can result in you feeling physically and emotionally relaxed.
So that's an example of guided imagery, using words and music to invoke positive imaginary scenarios. So the point there is to be able not only to get out of negative thoughts into neutral thoughts, but to put you into a positive state. And that, I'll give you a link to that one as well. There's a lot of different sites out there that are dedicated to guided meditations of lots of different types of guided meditations. I'm going to show you one and give you a link to this one as well. It's called Insight Timer. And this is a website. It's also an app. You can download it to your phone. I show you this one because it's free. There are a lot of other ones out there, Headspace, Calm, or a couple of other ones out there, but those typically have a monthly subscription fee. This one is, they say themselves, the #1 rated free app and free website for guided meditations. I'll kind of show you a little bit around it, and you can see they're asking you to download the app right from here. So you can click here if you want to download a copy to your smartphone. It's good to have it on your phone because lots of times you'll have some dead time where you're waiting for someone and you've got 10 minutes. You can go and do a meditation while you're sitting there instead of just listening to the news on the radio or something else. You can help deal with your stress whenever you've got some extra time. So they, on the website, they typically go through a number of different sections of the app. They break it into essential listening. So essential listening is typically talks where they're actually telling you about stress and how to deal with stress. So this kind of the educational part. They have staff picks where they feature certain meditations that have been really popular. They've got a section on sleep. They have lots of different meditations to help people that are having problems getting falling asleep. And there's several different ways those work. Some of them are just playing sounds that you can listen to. Lots of times they're nature sounds. They could also be relaxing music. Some of them have someone talking you through a guided imagery, similar to the one we just saw from Johns Hopkins, where they'll walk you through a calm, relaxing guided imagery, which typically, hopefully, you fall asleep before they get to the end of it. These tend to be longer. Some of these there's one that's 30 minutes. Lots of times they're 30 minutes or longer. Here's just music to calm down. Again, a lot of people find music relaxing, so they curate lots of good music to listen to if you want to just listen to some music and calm down, etc. Even they have some for kids, which are more like cartoons, but doing a lot of the same types of things. Okay. Oh, yeah, this is what I was looking for. They do also have courses. Sometimes the courses are free, but most of them you do have to pay to get the courses. That's what this Member Plus is. So there would be a subscription fee for those. So if you're really enjoying the site and you want to do that, that's an extra one, but there's tons of material that you don't have to pay for. So unless it says Members Plus beside it, it's free. And these are like 10-day courses as opposed to just videos. What I typically do is come up here to the little hamburger up in the upper right. And it takes you to essentially a table of contents. And it breaks it into a number of different sections. I typically go straight down to the See All, which is the complete index. And again, it breaks it into lots of different groups. If you want to just listen to music, here's all of your sections with different types of music. If you are looking for things based on your religious background, if you're looking for meditations that are Christian in origin or Hindu or Judaism, you can go in that way. And they're curated around those religious faiths. You can look at things based on what benefits you're trying to achieve. Do you want to fall asleep? Do you want to deal with depression and grief? Do you want to deal with stress and anxiety? So I'll just click into one of these to kind of show you. So since we're talking about stress today, I'll click that one. And in each case, they'll take you into a group where they've curated different meditations for that particular topic. You can kind of scroll through those. And I'll just click briefly on one of these. I haven't ever listened to this one. I'll just click this one to kind of show you how these work. So it'll show you how the rating for that one. It's got a 4.7 rating. It's had 5,000 plays, and it's a guided meditation. Like this one may just be mostly background music.
Hi, this is Connor Logan, Doctor of Acupuncture and Chinese Medicine, accompanied by composer Trevor Wayne Howard. It sure has been a trying week.
Okay, so you kind of get the idea. So you can go ahead and take a look at this. And again, I'll have a link to this site in the email that's coming out after class. Again, there are literally thousands of free meditations out there. Like a lot of the things we've talked about, what works for one person doesn't work for the other. So there's lots there to go out. You just need to take a little time and go try the different ones.
Wait, a quick question. Hi,
Sure.
This is Judy. I've been trying to get it on my iPhone, and I wonder, do you know how to get around? I mean, you're showing us how to do it on on a laptop or browser, but are you familiar with doing it on the phone as well?
Yes, I've got it on my iPhone.
So where would I go to get instructions? I mean, the same way, you taught us the different symbols here. Should I just Google it, or is it pretty similar?
So go to the App Store and
Yeah.
and then download it, or you can, if you come here to their website, you can click the download here, and it will it'll send it to your phone, or you can just go to the App Store and look up Insight Timer.
Super. And I did download it, but I'm just having a hard time figuring out how to navigate it.
Oh,
So might there be where would I go to find a video on that?
there may be something on the website. And I don't have my phone linked up to be able to show you that here in class. But hopefully it's pretty easy to
Okay.
navigate through.
Okay, I'll look at it. Thanks.
Yeah, just try that, and I can't remember exactly how that works, but yeah. Linda, do you have a question? If you are, you're muted, Linda, if you're trying to ask a question. There you are.
Anyway, I found a lot of things, information like how she can go to YouTube and try how to use Insight Timer. I use YouTube for everything. And
Oh, great.
someone
So I could
actually
do,
puts on the YouTube.
oh, great. So I could
Someone
just say
actually
how to
puts on a
use,
video of it. So it's pretty good. I
thanks.
don't know about Insight Timer, but I use it for how to use Zoom, how to do everything. And somebody
Yeah,
has a video on it.
Yeah,
Great. Thank you, Linda.
yeah. Thanks, Linda. Okay. And those were the main things I was going to go over. We got time for a couple of questions. If anybody else has any questions, or anybody wants to recommend some things that they've done to deal with stress that we haven't talked about.
I do.
Yeah, go ahead, Linda.
Is my thing still on? You can hear
You're
me?
still on. Mhm.
Okay. This year I've had a hard time sleeping, so I started out with, they have adult bedtime stories on YouTube. And the stories are pretty good where you listen to them and before you know it, you're just sleeping, And then the music videos and stuff, I have to basically, I can't sleep without something now. It started this year. So that's it. That's all I have to say. Is the bedtime stories for adults is pretty interesting. If you don't like to meditate or just listen to music, it gets your mind off of thinking.
Yeah, there's a ton of good information out there on YouTube. So again, that is a great source, and you can just go here and type just about anything and find it. In fact, I know they do help. I think I just saw Insight Timer tutorial, which you were probably. But they, all the different products I talked about, Insight Timer, Calm, Headspace, they all have a presence out on YouTube as well. But here's how to use Insight Timer app right there.
Good.
Okay. Yeah, other questions or comments? All right. One last thing I'm going to show you real quickly then before we go. And this is something's called biofeedback, which is a way to actually, we talked about that stress is related to your autonomic nervous system. And what biofeedback does, it actually measures the state of your autonomic nervous system. And we'll show you that via a graph. If you've probably all been to the doctor's office and had an EKG or EEG done, which is basically, that's a type of biofeedback. So you can tell in this case, like respiration, when you're stressed, you're in that fight or flight, you've got a very erratic respiration, then it calms down when you're in the rest and relax parasympathetic nervous system. Same thing with heart rate or blood pressure. But there's lots of consumer level biofeedback devices that you can get. If you can Google biofeedback, you'll find lots of these. There's one that I've used that I recommend since I have used it. It's from a company called HeartMath, and there'll be a link in the email to this as well that has a biofeedback device. I'll just briefly show you it. It uses heart rate, and it's called heart rate variability. And again, it shows that they call it frustration and appreciation instead of fight or flight and rest and relax, but it's the same thing. This is sympathetic, parasympathetic, but you can actually see how your heart rate variability changes when you move from one state to the other. And the device looks like this. This is a phone, an iPhone. So it's, kind of gives you an idea of how small it is. This clips onto your ear, and this is just a little Bluetooth transmitter. that communicates with your phone. You just press the button here to turn it on, and then this monitors. So down here, it's actually showing what your current heart rate is. And so if it's jagged, you're in a state of fight or flight. As it starts to get slower and rhythmic like this, this person at this point is in a relaxed state. So this is your current state. This is showing you throughout the duration of that session how you've been doing. Red is bad, blue is better, green is very relaxed. So for example, in this case, this person went from fairly upset to a nice relaxed state, and then they kind of went back down, which happens a lot. Our mind starts wandering as we're doing meditation and deep breathing, and then you have to go back and bring it back up, which is kind of what the biofeedback does. It shows you how you're doing. Some people, need to have feedback to know if what they're doing is working, and so this is a way to do that. The devices are not inexpensive, but not hugely expensive. It's $129 for the iPhone, which is, if you want the wired version. This one that's Bluetooth works for both of them. It's a little more expensive, but you don't have to have the wire. So it's in that basically $130 to $160 price range. But that's what biofeedback is. Questions about that one? All right. So we are about out of time. So I did want to mention that if you do need more help, if you are feeling very stressed and you've tried things on your own and it's not working, do consider talking to a mental health professional that can really help you if you are needing more help. So that's the end of the class itself, and I do want to thank you for attending. Hope you learned some things to help you stay calm during stressful times during the class. There are a couple of other classes out there that I already pointed out, but we also do have some meditation classes. I'll go back out to our website again at the end of the class here. I want to go to the closing, especially for anyone that's new to Get Set Up and doesn't know how what happens after class. So as I mentioned several times, there'll be an email coming out after class, and it has several sections in it, but one of those sections is the links to other websites. So there are going to be a lot of links in this one to those deep breathing exercises and all the different sites that I've shown you. There'll be links to all those in that email. There'll also be links to some other classes. If you want to take those classes, these are shortcuts to the register for those classes. There's a give feedback link where you can give feedback. Very quick, 2 questions, rate the class 1 to 5, rate the guide 1 to 5. Okay. And we do hope that you're enjoying working with Get Set Up and hope you'll want to be an active part of our community. A lot of ways you can do that. You can spread the word about Get Set Up just to your family and friends and invite them to classes. You may want to take classes together. If you're interested in attending those social groups and interest groups, and even potentially leading one of those classes, we're always looking for people that would like to start or lead a class. So if you're interested in doing that, you can just send an email to help@getsetup.io. If there's additional classes you'd like to see us offer that we're not currently offering, again, help@getsetup.io is a great way to do that. And as I mentioned at the top of the class, if you want to get a copy of the recording of this or any other class, just send an email to help@getsetup.io. Be sure to include the class name and the date you attended the class, because only participants can get a copy of that recording. And then the last link is to view schedule, which takes you out to our website. And again, we've been here several times today. I want to point out a couple of things that hopefully you found, but you may not have. This link right in the center of the homepage takes you over to your schedule. So if you click that, it'll take you to all the classes you've registered for. You can then join the class straight from here. You don't have to use the email. So a lot of people find this an easier way to get to the classes. If you're looking for a certain class or certain type of class, you can certainly look by class type or by schedule, but I think it's easiest to go up here and just enter a key term. So we were just talking about meditation. If you're looking for meditation classes, you can just type meditation and it'll show you the different classes we've got: meditation techniques, yoga and meditation. We have another class that has additional stress management techniques, Qigong for beginners, etc. So this is a way to find other classes. If you see another class that you want to take, you can just click on that class from here. Now, sometimes you'll see this notify me. This means the class isn't scheduled for the next 2 weeks. We typically schedule on a 2-week basis, but if you click here, we'll send you an email with a link to register for that class the next time it's being offered. All right, so we are right at the top of the hour. Do want to thank you for attending. Hope you enjoyed the class, and hope I see you again in another class really soon. Thanks for attending, everybody, and have a great Sunday afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wait, I just,
Thank you.
can I,
Yes.
can you,
Thank you.
yeah, please, can you please check the DM I have? We have a message from Nancy. I think she was asking something.
Yeah, and are you still on, Nancy?
Yes,
Okay, just go ahead. What are you looking for, Nancy?
no, I didn't say that. I didn't answer a question.
Okay, so
I think Nancy, you asked for a one-on-one, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna
One-on-one,
add something.
what are you looking for, Nancy?
one-on-one to get set on my computer.
Oh, if you're having computer problems, that
No,
help.
no, one-on-one for the classes here so they can help me with the site.
Yeah, so if you're having trouble with the site, help at getsetup.io. Somebody will contact you and help you with anything problems you're having. So that's how you can request.
Will they come on my computer one-on-one?
Yep, that's they can help you with that.
Well, I asked Joe, he said he'd get back to me.
Okay. Yeah. So
Good question.
So just send an email to help at getsetup.io. And that's what they're our technical support people, so they can help you with your any computer if you're having trouble signing up for classes or participating in the classes. Yeah. Somebody else had a question?
Yes.
Is it to look at your schedule, you go to getsetup.io, is that right?
Yes. Let me share my screen back again real quick. Yep. So it's getsetup.io. We'll take you to the home screen, and then right here in the center of the screen is where it says view my complete schedule.
View my, okay.
Like that will take you to your schedule, anything you've got registered.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Sure. Anybody else? All right. Okay. All right. Great. Did I get you taken care of, Nancy?
I hope so. I mean, I want to do a one-on-one on the screen. I had Marge on the other night. She said she doesn't do it anymore. She got promoted. So I don't know who can come on with me.
Okay, let me check.
Doesn't show, my computer doesn't show the whole thing.
Yeah. Okay. Let me get somebody to get back to you.
Please?
Yeah. Look, I'll do that. Nancy, I'll have somebody get back to you and help you with that.
Okay. Thank you, Wade.
Sure. Bye now.
Have a good holiday.
You too. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
Thanks.
Bye now.
Thank you, Wade.